This is Evans, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I gained from the iTech conference in Des Moines. I attended on Sunday the 16th. A workshop was about constructivism, and we had a specialist in that area that is Gary Steiger, and here is what he had to say about constructivism. During the workshop, I learned a lot about constructivism, but the most examples that stood out to me were three. One of them was about this kid called Sylvia. She's 8 years old, and she is the owner of Super Awesome Maker Show, and she develops and presents in a very awesome way, as she says, and most of her topics and projects range from engineering, math, and science projects, and which was really cool. I have included a video in this blog. Another thing that another video that stood out for me was about this architect, and he was working with kids, and the project was about modeling a city, and learners modeled a city, and they had to factor in the economic, social life of people in the city through a project. Sometimes it is easier, most of the time it is easier for them to see a wider picture of a lesson or a project, or to gain more understanding of the project than just like any other lecture classes. These examples represent the idea of modeling, and it's not about teaching learners, but having them be in the lead for finding, setting their goals, setting their hypotheses, developing a project, and effecting that project, putting it into action, and then evaluating that project using different analytical skills that they develop during the project. When this happens, students think a lot, and they get involved more than if it was just to sit in class and listen to a lecture and take notes, or listen to a video and go home. But some of the problems that might arise due to this kind of teaching is like different students have different learning styles, and they have different academic or IQ or abilities, and so it is very difficult to satisfy, or for the learners to learn at the same pace. There are those learners that will be behind. They will need help a little bit so that they can catch up. But there's those learners who will be really fast. Before you even say a thing, they already know the route to take. That is mostly the reason why a teacher needs to be there, so as to moderate such things. Another thing was the issue of parental consent. or the economic status of a family. Sometimes project-based learning requires resources, and sometimes, like for example, Sylvia, her dad provides everything that she learns from and probably give her moral support and help with setting up and stuff like that. But sometimes parents may not, all parents may not have that capability, may not know how to do such stuff. We thought probably Sylvia's dad was we knew he was educated, but we thought he might be an engineer, some kind of engineer, electrical engineer or civil engineer or something, and so it's easier for him to help Sylvia with such stuff. But for parents who probably they've just had a high school education or university education, but in a different field, it might be different. They might not be able to help as much. My take on this is like because this kind of teaching is very different and it's very practical. It needs a teacher to be, first of all, to be very well prepared. Know yourself, your abilities, and where you cannot direct a project, you might call in another teacher, facilitator that is specialized in that area to help to give the student the right direction, because as much as you want the student to learn by themselves, it is at one point or another they will get derailed, they will get distracted or something like that, and then they will lose track. And so it needs like someone who is specialized in some particular area. If it's a math project, you need someone who is specialized in math to keep them on track. At the same time, we realize that most of these projects, one project can cover a variety of subject areas. For example, a project that the two teachers were doing about making a recorder, sound recorder, using plastic cup and a needle and other crude materials. You need it can take different dimension. It can take a mathematical dimension whereby there's some measurements in it. Physics dimension about sound, knowing the different materials that produce different sound. Music dimension, to listening to the sound and knowing what kind of sound it is. And this is how learning effectively takes place. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've learned a little bit about what I learned at the workshop, iTech workshop, and I hope it will be helpful to you a little bit, if not a lot. Thanks.